besides all of these things that she's done, she was also kind enough to get a group of us who have no swara knowledge, who have no singing background, and patiently listen to us while teaching chanting. And she basically put the seed in me, and she has that very nurturing, loving, aspect of her. And you can call her for anything, and she's always willing to listen. And she's a constant inspiration. Right now, she just finished a marathon before. She's still, training for it. So there's always something to look up to her and draw inspiration from. So I love you, Akka, and thank you for being there in my life.
Thank you. Akka, did you ever face gender discrimination at work or in general? How did you come out of that?
Gender discrimination, a little bit of exclusion.
Yeah.
These are all things that nobody, at least as I saw in the workplace, was not something that people set out to do, but its perceptions become reality. It's looking different, maybe not dressing like you, maybe not walking like you, not talking like you. And the perception is that they are not equal to you. And so that's almost always you're starting with as they say, with a handicap. You're like in golf, they say you have to start, you're always starting behind. And in the beginning, it was very unnerving, and it was really, we were raised like this. We all still have that inside us, that voice that says, you must be doing something wrong. The first person to blame is ourselves. But after a while, it becomes clear that there is something wrong with the system itself. And I found that the best thing to do was not to directly approach it, because it's not a good way to solve a problem, but to start speaking up more. Why do they perceive us like that? Is maybe we are being too silent. Maybe we're not expressing our thoughts. Maybe we are being respectful and waiting for somebody to finish. Now, if you work in an American environment, nobody finishes a sentence. Everybody interrupts each other and probably repeats what you were just saying. But the point of it is to say, learn little things like, excuse me, let me finish my sentence. It takes a lot of courage to say that, but once you said it, then people will start listening. And when we do things, as I shared a couple of examples, that they did not expect you to do, then the nice thing is they are willing at least to give you a better chance. That was my experience. But if as I told you in the beginning, you put your head down and worked hard, somebody will notice you. No, even you are not noticing yourself. Nobody is going to notice you. And so I think taking courage and deciding to show up, deciding to make a difference, and deciding to speak up, I think those were the hardest things for us to do. We were raised totally differently. Children should be seen, not heard, this kind of stuff. It sits in your head. But now we wanted to be seen and heard, and I think that helped. And once you begin to build up, one small thing I want to tell you, when I joined it, you may even find it humorous and may have seen it. The evaluation forms at the end of each year were a bunch of sheets that are questions. And they had 3 little check boxes: outstanding, good, and needs improvement. And they passed it on first to you, the actual employee. I was sitting in this room with Tawfiq Zanati. I actually mentioned his name in that thank you list. Egyptian gentleman, very quiet fellow. And then I filled up my thing. And of course, I filled everything in the middle, because I thought, okay, if I say I'm not so good, they'll say, of course you're good. That's the expectation. And by chance and by good luck, maybe life talked to me. And I asked him, what's the purpose of this? And you'll get a raise. And I said, oh, how much should we expect normally? And he said 10 cents. And I was shocked. I said, I make $11,440 a year. Next year, I'm going to make $11,440.1. Is that what you mean? He laughed. I think that was the only time I ever saw the man laugh. And he said, no, we work for 2,040 hours at an 80-hour week, so many weeks. Or you will get 10 cents more per hour.
Mm.
That's good. That's about $204 or whatever else. It was a good increase. But at that time, that was about the time I told you that Larry Lozic gave this little test and they used this Fortran programming. I went to his office and told him, these are all my degrees and I'm going to school every night. And I got straight A's, as you know, because they have to approve it in order for us to get reimbursed.
Mhm.
And I'm not at all happy with the fact that my husband makes more than me. And I want to know why that is the case. We are exactly equally qualified. And maybe there are people who are making even more. And I want to tell you that I didn't get 10 cents that year. I got $1. So that was 10 times more. My point was we had to speak up, and that was very difficult for us. You have to talk to yourself all the way on the L train saying, no, I am going to do it. Don't be ridiculous. You must speak for yourself. You have these conversations because you don't have anybody else to talk to. But they helped. I think we all broke those things that we put, those barriers that we put on ourselves,
Right.
and moved on.
Mm. Thank you, Akka. I think
And be your own advocate, because if we don't advocate for ourselves,
yeah.
then we are losing that competitive advantage that we would
Yeah.
have if we did. Nobody's really watching and keeping count of everything. We have to be able to say, I added value. So
Correct.
take courage to speak for ourselves. The gender lines will continue. I mean, there is something wonderful about the fact that we're different and have different strengths. It's not that we are would like to become one uniform mass.
I don't think it will ever. Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't mean that different doesn't mean less than, doesn't mean less than. That's what we're trying to get to. We want to be equal and different. And that's the diversity, that's the beauty of colors and the beauty of a rainbow. Nothing is better or worse, but it makes for a more beautiful world if we all have our strengths. But not equal is important. Give them a chance to prove themselves is important. When we get into leadership roles also, we have to be mindful of these things. So it's not a one size fits all. We all know that. We've been through a man being very aggressive as a leader and a woman being assertive is you know what. And so it's not necessarily the same. And those are the things we don't fight head on because that'll only make it say, oh my God, she's so hard to work with. So we still have to sadly find little ways to make it palatable so they can actually see the truth.
Perfect.
So there are some men, I'm looking at my son too. So all of you keep in mind that it's a difficult world for women. Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Akka.
You're welcome.
Hey, Padma, this is Vimal. Sorry. Hi. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking us through your journey. It's a great life lesson, not only for me, but mom, my girls. Listening to you, all the same lessons still apply for all of us. They're also relevant. You're our Energizer Bunny of the family. You keep going. You tell us to keep going. It's a great example. So thank you from me, Indulalu, Scott, Mom, Dad, and Pranav. Thanks so much.
So sweet of you, Vimal. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your being here. She's our daughter, born. We were there together when you were born. It's wonderful that you shared that. I'm glad it was useful. And we'll keep on marching. That's what we women do. Keep on marching.
Yeah. Did you have any inspirations or role models at the time that, kind of showed you the path or inspired you to blaze the trail as you did? And if not, like, how did you find that courage to blaze the trail?
We didn't have too many role models at that time, but we did find, it's not like, if you ask me now, I'd say Michelle Obama is a role model. I'd look at so many leaders who came from nothing and really made a lot of themselves. And it was difficult because it was not just that we Indian immigrants were new. Even American women did not work in the workplace. Most of my colleagues and my bosses were men who went home expecting to have dinner on their table. So it was really a breakthrough that was happening across the board. I told you the Indian immigrant story because that was my story. But it's not like in fact, I hired the second professional woman, Laura Ferguson, in Sargent and Lundy. And I wrote my own maternity leave as a thing because there was no professional woman who was pregnant at the time. So these kind of things taught us that we were making progress. We were breaking sort of the boundaries and marching along. So in response to your question, we read about women that a woman was doing well in sports, or that a woman was a great teacher, or that a woman was really making a difference by joining say NASA or something like that. This kind of news, and that was the only source for us, was either reading or listening to the news, so to speak. And they gave us hope, and they did give us hope that we could pick and choose and do those kind of things, because if they could, so could we. So I would say it was not like I had one role model, but a collage of a lot of women who are doing a lot of things in various fields. It could be the arts, it could be the culture, it could be in making leaps in technology, or in engineering, or in medicine. A lot of people, even amidst us, they were really pushing themselves to make more things happen. So it was a collage, I would say. I can't say pick one and say this lady inspired me to do this, but each of their stories gave us hope that we shall endure, we shall persevere, that kind of a thing.
I'd like to know some tips on how do you keep yourself motivated, and how do you dabble, or not even dabble, how do you do so many things and do it with such perfection? And someone else said, you're a superwoman, but for normal women like me, do you have any tips?
Motivation is something that in my mind, is something we set for ourselves. We set for ourselves simply because all growth happens. There's no such thing as stopping. This is what I feel in my life. If we stand still, there's no such thing. Either we are moving up or we are moving down. So the question is, what would be, we don't have endless wells of energy. Obviously, we get tired. And then the key thing is to figure out, I think, what we can give up a little bit of maybe unnecessary. Perfection is not particularly a good thing. Sometimes something a little less is okay, because I want to try new. I think it keeps us fresh. And if we are tired, then we should listen to our body and say, okay, today I will do nothing. We're perfectly reasonable for us to take that time, and also be kind to ourselves. We do forget on all those things that I shared earlier. You didn't see fun in it. There was no time to have fun. Maybe there was a downside to it, because having fun is also important. It's about prioritizing. Every day has so many things. Some of them have to be done, so we know they'll go to the top of the list. Where's your fun and where's what you want to spend time for yourself? Usually at the bottom of the list, and it's always stays at the bottom. So sometimes it's not a bad idea to have a talk with yourself, as we said, and then say, today is a day I'm going to rest. Everything shall wait. Another day, today is the day I'm going to take on this hobby. I've been forever wanting to do something. Ultimately, if we do not do it for ourselves, nobody else will. And interestingly, if we start doing these things a little bit even, and stay consistent, take a small thing like you have your pedometer and say, I'm going to walk 5,000 steps every single day, no matter what. If we have some small goal, then interestingly, the world listens. Oh, now Jayshree has to go to the walk. Yeah, you go. I'll take care of this. It happens without you asking, because you're staying consistent no matter what. So small steps, a decision. We all make the mistake of saying, okay, maybe I'll try for the Olympics. No, we'll start with 5,000 steps per week or per day, and then make it consistent. That's the only way I found that we get attention. First, of course, we try the method and say, you know, I'm not doing anything. I'm really feeling tired. I don't have time. And the expectation is somebody is going to say, of course, Rathna, why don't you go? I'll take care of it. That's an unreal expectation. It doesn't really happen. So the thing is to set a small goal and be so consistent that suddenly the world is listening. Now they make it suddenly became important to them too. Oh, we've got to let, she needs to go for a walk. You didn't tell them, but it's now become their expectation of themselves too, that we've got to do this. This is the only small way, small things at a time. We women are not only strong, we're very patient. We can do this slowly until anybody will start listening because you're not giving up. But we need to start small. And if we don't move ourselves to somewhere in the top 10, we'll be in the bottom all the time. We've all been there and we try. It's a hard thing. It's all about weighing these choices. And that's why I think it's a hard life. But one thing good about us is we do not easily give up. We do not easily say, no, I'm just not going to do it. If we give it up, that's a good thing. That means you really did. We didn't really want it. But if we care, we do not give up easily. You can look around and see those examples in yourself and in others. It sounds like a roundabout answer, but ultimately we'll take control, set a small goal and do it consistently. And then it'll become practice for us too. And then now we pick another. That's what I would suggest.
So I just had two little sort of questions. One is more of a fun. Did you ever sleep? Because it seems like, when you were going through, if at all, how many hours did you sleep at that time? If at all you slept. The second part is being at the highest corporate job doesn't come easy. And you did hold a very high, very high corporate position in AT&T and few places. How were you managing raising a family with with sons who are growing up as well, having their own demands, being technically at the highest level as well, and then also trying to find time to do all of these cultural activities? I know personally so many things that you and Guru Garu are involved in. So, just a little insight into that. And thank you so much again. I'm blessed actually to know you and Guru Garu. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's a good question, Srinivas. Thank you. That's a wonderful question.
Thank you, Srinivas Garu. It's nice. As you yourself said, and we talked about it a little bit while we were discussing professional career in today's talk, a lot of them are our natural strengths, just getting to that. Like our natural strengths are to not easily give up, to be patient, and to continue and learn from failure. So we climb slowly and we get to where we get to, whether they're the highest or not the highest, we're always stretching ourselves. It comes with the domain, so to speak, that you're working. And again, as I was telling Jayshree, we don't stand still either. We will start moving down as to moving up. So we're doing that. In terms of balancing that is a slippery slope and it is a really difficult act and we're not always successful. However, I will tell you that we were blessed with very good sons, and the beauty of it was that relentlessly we pushed them. Study, you have to study. There's no other way but to study. There is how dare you get an A-. These were kind of things. I remember I see Shankar here, he was very young and he got a good grade. And I saw the paper that he had written. He's very young, maybe he was 9 or 8 or something. He had written something like an essay full of spelling mistakes. I went and quarreled with the teacher and said, how dare you give him an A- with so many spelling mistakes? And she said, it's only spelling. His ideas were good. I said, that's true. But if you think that this is good enough for an A, he will not work hard enough for it. That's the kind of ridiculousness we took it to a level. All the kids will tell you stories about how much we pushed them, much more than the schools pushed them, but only because we felt that they could get to the level of perfection and excellence. And in our household, and it comes from my mother, there's this voice, her voice is still in all our heads. Don't waste time. It was something that became really an unfortunate kind of a message, because you just can't relax. Relax is yes, we must relax now. That's how we relax, because that's another thing to do. It has to get done. So the point of it was a relentless pursuit of excellence. We can learn we set examples. We learned like that. I saw my mother studying, my father working, and they did what they preached. So they practiced what they preached. I think in Shankar's case, Sumana is studying for an MD degree right now, and her children are watching. So I have seen recently, I just came back yesterday. She used to make a fuss before, Arya, about why should I do my homework? No fuss at all. She's sitting there and doing her work. Nobody's telling her to do it. She's learning by example. I think that we worked so hard and pushed ourselves. You brought up your Guru Garu, so therefore I want to say that. I mean, he made time to study the Upanishads, and really our house is overflowing with books, and they're not just there to decorate. It literally is digesting them all day and all evening. So when children see that, then they learn it, and it's easier than preaching to them. And even the learning the scriptures, whatever, when we push. And I know all your families are doing the same. It was a question asked with a nice intention, but I know I've met your kids. They're wonderful children, and they're doing well. I think we are blessed that way. We've all worked hard, and our kids are taking after us. And you don't want me to get started on my grandkids, or you'd be here all evening. They're wonderful. They're all learning very well just by watching. So that's
Atthaya,
sorry.
Atthaya, you one of the things you said in your talk, and then kind of related to what you were just mentioning, is I always think about how you kind of taught me what I always talk about, growth mindset, before I knew it was called growth mindset, and it was like a whole thing. This idea, and really through knowing Shankar, and obviously a culture really created by you, that you can really do anything. You just like, there's no reason you shouldn't. I think women do it a lot, right? Like we gatekeep ourselves from things, being like, oh, what if they don't like me? I'm not good enough. I won't even put my hat in the ring, type of thing. Yeah. So and I spent a lot of my life doing that, just kind of whatever, for whatever reason.
Safe.
Yeah, just to play it safe. And I spent a lot of time missing out on things that maybe I would have wanted to do or cared about or enjoyed, because I was so scared. Oh, well, what if I can't, or what if it doesn't go well, in all kinds of things, like baking a cake or studying medicine, whatever it is. And I met Shankar. I always tell this because it's really true. And he just was like, why would you ever think you couldn't do something before you tried it? And I was like, I don't know. Why wouldn't somebody? And the more I knew you, the more I realized this was really the culture you created in the family, and you've lived by it yourself, right? So they saw you doing it. And I just think it's like one of the most important things you could ever teach children. And as you know, like I'm obsessed with it now in the house. No one's allowed to say the words anyone smart. Everyone has to be considered only hardworking, all this stuff. But it really comes from that. And it comes from my own experience of seeing the change and what a flip of a mindset can do about how you like just approach the world. So I want to say that I think that's a really testament to you. And then Shankar has a hard question for you, because everyone has been softballing it so far.
So looking back, you gave us a sort of 48-year journey on your life. What's the one thing you would do different? The one thing, I won't say regret, but what's the one thing that, looking back now, knowing what you know, what do you think you could have done differently? And if you want to say you should have been easier on your boys, that's a perfectly valid answer.
I did think about this question some time ago. And both the times, the question is, what would it have been to walk the path that was not taken? You don't know. Sometimes it is a fork in the road, and you don't know if that would have been better or not. One of them is the Pochabratsky Scholarship. I cannot know. And I think as recently as 2 weeks ago, I had a big argument with your father all the way from Philadelphia to New Jersey about how do you know that was not the right decision? So one doesn't know. I couldn't say if that was the right thing or not to have gone and done a PhD. We were going to do it together and then moved on. That was one kind of a place that I think I wish I had at least considered that option more strongly than just saying, okay, that's not. That was one. There's a path not taken. There's no regret in it at all. It's that how would it have been? And had we done that, we would have asked ourselves, how would it have been if we went to America? So it's not an answer that it's like a little conundrum. The other one, which I think was more obvious, staring in the face at the time, was when I left AT&T, I had a fresh MBA from Wharton, and I did have connections in the Bay Area. Why didn't I go? Why didn't we move there? Why didn't we go join Apple or Google or something that was just coming up? And I tell myself, and you boys are to blame, that the two of the boys were already in Boston and we had just moved to New Jersey. There was such a need to feel that we were close, that if we went to the California, that would be the end of the world. So that kind of a regret of that we were trying to balance. But I really, by God's grace, have no regrets. God has been kind to us, by family, by friends, by all the people that are in our lives. So totally grateful to everything that happened.
Wonderful story. I have only 2 words for you.
Okay.
Wow and wowed. Those are 2 words. And the second thing I want to mention is what men do and everything is very obvious. Either you're doing a job, you're successfully or whatever, but we don't know. Men are oblivious to the fact how successful, how brilliant women are. So the forum like this that Anu has done, I think it does wonders to get to know the women who are behind successful men, and then also the women who are behind brilliant kids.
The world was designed that way. I do not know why, but it's somehow always been something that we've visualized, we've learned, and so on. But there's a lot of things we can question. We have a lot of these arguments. Why is Vishnumurti sitting there and Lakshmi at so, and I said, well, she's just humoring him because she is Lakshmi. Who would be praying to Lord Vishnu if Lakshmi wasn't there? This kind of jokes we have a lot. The point of it is really being equal partners, helping each other, understanding each other's problems is the way that we can all grow in every household. I'm happy to say that the next generations are very much aligned with those ways of thinking and act and working. We're moving forward well. The pendulum did for centuries swing in one direction, and it is beginning to swing. We just have to be careful that we balance and don't swing to another direction, the other opposite, but we stay balanced. I think our kids, we're counting on them, and the grandkids.
Thank you. You're an inspiration. We all know that, Ratnaka, we always are looking up to you, and you make it so accessible to all of us, which is very commendable. Like with all your thing, and you still have time to counsel, talk to people, give advice. I really appreciate having you in my life. Thank you so much.
I'm really happy that we all met. I'm glad to see so many of you here, and we had a good coffee table chat or whatever, fireside chat or whatever chats that we would like. This kind of things, I really commend you, Anu, as several people said. We don't take the time to have such a leisurely talk, and also it really forced me, I'd be truthful, to really say, oh my God, this talk is coming up, I better go back to the beginning. We don't take the time, and it was a good thing that indirectly forced us to reflect and continue on. Thank you for setting this. I really appreciate it. I really want to thank all of you who are here.
Hi, Rathna. Congratulations for wonderful 1 hour.
Oh, thank you.
You echoed all our feelings, experiences, thoughts, and everything.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Lovely. And we landed 1975, May 1st in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, very close then. We almost met in the airport.
Yeah.
Great. All stories are similar. Look, yes. You've done so much. It's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful.
It has been an incredible half a century of journey that we saw from your experience. Every successful story obviously has both everybody involved in it, and you rightfully explained that the family and the friends and the society around you, you make that happen so that you grow along with it and you be successful. I think the most successful part or of the inspiration that I get from you and Prasad Garu is that I will say that it is Shiva Shaktya Yukto. You both are like Shiva and Shakti united. And with that, I will say that it was a wonderful, experiences that you have shared. And for all of us, I can tell for Anu and myself, we always looked up upon you and Prasad Garu as a godfather, godmother kind of thing. And you always showered your love and affection upon us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was really a joyous evening. Thanks for making it happen. As we will be in touch again, I'm sure. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Akka.